Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is Monday, November 6, 2023. We are here in the conference room for the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County, and we are here for a work session with our Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources Department. I am Larimer County Commissioner Jody Shabbat-Nally, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. I'm joined by my colleague, Commissioner John Kafalis, and Commissioner Stevens is excused today. Also joining us at the table is Lauren Delvoker, our County Manager, and off to the side, keeping an eye on us, is our Assistant County Manager, Lori Cadridge. We also have, since we have our Community Development Director here in the back, and I think she'll have an update for us after this, but first we're going to start with our Department of Natural Resources about land stewardship. And I'm going to turn this over to Dalen Figgs, our Director of Natural Resources. Good afternoon, and I'll let you introduce the rest of your staff that are here. We have a lot of people in the room, so I'm sure you'll let us know who's all here, but thank you for being here, and let's get started.
All right, well, thank you. Dalen Figgs, Director for Natural Resources. We have two items on the agenda, and if you're fine with this, I want to add a short third one, really just an update related to an email that I had sent you regarding an IGA or intergovernmental agreement at Heaven's Door, if there were any questions on that. So the first topic deals with our Mulberry office. It's where the weed district is, and Megan Flanagan and Justin Core will describe a project there in an effort to sell that building.
Okay, thank you. Megan Flanagan with Natural Resources. And as you know, we have partnered with the ranch to construct a new facility joint with ranch operations staff out at the ranch property. And as part of doing so, we have enlisted a realtor to help us sell the storefront office space and shop on Mulberry Street. And we first did offer the building to other county departments to see if there was any interest in the county, but there wasn't. And so we moved ahead, and our realtor listed the property. We received an offer that of $550,000, and that was based on comparable sales in the area, a little better than we actually expected. We have a closing set for the end of January 2024. And so we wanted to let you know we'll sign up for December 5th admin matters, consent agenda for a resolution approving the sale, as well as a statement of authority for your signature. And then the funds that we recoup from the sale will just go into helping offset our costs for the new facility.
Great news and great work, and I'll see if my colleague has any questions. Commissioner Foss, any questions for Megan or Dalen?
Just a quick one. And how are things proceeding with the move from the current, East Mulberry offices to the ranch?
Yeah, our plan is to start the move 1st of January or so. Some of the staff at the ranch, because they're remodeling the other side of the building, are using the new side that our staff will eventually move into.
Great. Well, thank you. Appreciate the update. Look forward to getting that chapter closed and getting fully moved over there. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to cover the Heavens?
Yeah, great. And then we just wanted to share with you that we have decided to pursue a Great Outdoors Colorado grant to help reimburse some of our costs to acquire Heaven's Door Ranch. And as part of that, as you recall, we have an IGA, intergovernmental agreement with Fort Collins and Loveland around the purchase of Heaven's Door, and that both those entities will co-hold a conservation easement. And in the IGA, it stated that we would complete that process by the end of 2023. But if we receive the grant, which we won't know until March, we would need to adjust the language to include Great Outdoors Colorado and a conservation easement. So the IGA is just to extend or what's on consent is just an extension of the IGA through middle of 2024 to give us time to see how that turns out.
Exciting news, and grateful for that partnership and their continued support of our projects. So, Commissioner, you have any questions? I read the email, even though I was on a few days off. I still couldn't help myself, so I was really excited to read all that, and thank you for presenting that information. So, appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. The next topic, I'll have Zach Wiebe and John Plybon come up. And this is some work we're doing on the east side of Carter Lake, and we just wanted to bring this topic forward. It's been a while since we've talked about it, but we're really, as you'll see from the presentation, in the design phase. We're going back out to the community to sort of talk about the project again, and wanted to just to make you aware of this, as you may get a phone call or a contact from the community around Carter Lake with questions. And I wanted just to provide this information for you to have. So with that, I'll turn it over, I believe, to Zach, and we'll go from there.
Welcome, Zach.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners and County Manager. As Dalen mentioned, I'm Zach Wiebe with the Department of Natural Resources staff. And as Dalen mentioned, we're excited to share with you some updates for some improvements that we have planned at Carter Lake. So I'll start with just a brief background and then turn it over to John for some more details about the actual designs.
And Zach, before you get started, just remind me, is this part of the financial support from the American Rescue Plan dollars that we allocated from?
Indeed,
Okay.
and
Excellent.
we'll get into that as well. To start, I'll just describe that this project, which is along the east side of Carter Lake, where that red circle shows that two different areas that were both outcomes of our 2017 Parks Master Plan update. That plan considered all four of the reservoir parks that we currently manage and had extensive public outreach. It was about a year-long process to develop concepts for additional recreation improvements at Carter Lake, Horsetooth, Pinewood, and Flatiron Reservoir. These projects, of course, are at Carter Lake. That project was done in close coordination with the Bureau of Reclamation, who owns these properties, and coincided with their update of the Resource Management Plan, which is a NEPA required process. So all that to say, an extensive process that resulted in some of these concepts that we're going to show you. And all of them have these kind of overarching goals to improve our visitors' experience while protecting the natural resource values and do so in a way that's operationally and financially sustainable. So I wanted to share briefly to your question, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, that this project will include two different grants that we've been successful with. One is the ARPA funding that you all graciously allocated to focus on the west side, or the east side of the reservoir, the west side of this project, kind of the access to the reservoir components. The other grant is through the Federal Lands Access Program, and that was about $11 million grant to fund a lot of projects at both Horsetooth and Carter Lake, and these two are part of that project. Overall, that's about approximately $14 million total, and our contribution is only about $3 million of that. So that's kind of the funding behind these efforts. And with that, I'll turn it over to John to describe in more detail the designs.
Okay, thank you. John Plybon, Project Manager for Natural Resources. I'd like to continue on what Zach was talking about. Definitely leveraged quite a few dollars to get $11 million for the FLAP specific project, and then additional leveraging for the additional project here. But what I'd like to point out, even though Zach was discussing the thorough vetting that these ideas have gone through, I want to really point out that these projects are where DNR is really meeting their visiting public where they are and how they choose to engage with our properties. So this is a project here where you can see that we are converting a camping area to a day use area. And the high points of this are, we're going to be including 72 parking spaces here at this day use location. And this is going to greatly improve the safety of this whole location. We've got a lot of vehicles and bicycles and pedestrians walking this way and that way, and we're really able to manage these flows in a much more sustainable way here. So this also, I want to be sure and point out, we are improving accessibility at this project, and you'll see a number of scenarios here in these concept design drawings that point out some accessible picnic areas or shelters or day use amenities, and access even, as you can see in the north there, we're trying to get ADA access actually down to the beach.
Let me ask real quick if I might just clarify, how many camping spots did we lose? And if I remember right, because I think I know exactly where this is at since I live so close by, at the top of that picture that goes off to the right, that's towards that other camping area that's across.
That's correct. That's Eagle Campground
And so then,
across.
okay, that's what I thought. So there's still camping there that's very close, but how many spots did we lose in case we hear some people?
I believe we had 7 spots there.
But we're getting 72 parking spaces and not people parking along the roads, improve public safety, so it sounds pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the one thing that you may recall when we built Skyview Campground just down the road, one of the reasons behind that campground was in anticipation of this change, where we could replace those 7 or 8 campsites from this area to Skyview. The other thing we were able to do is, right now, this area is both a campground and a day use area, and mixing those two uses together just simply doesn't work anymore. And so this allocates and separates those uses to their own spaces.
Thank you for making that point. I appreciate that. Commissioner, you have any questions about that?
I'll wait till the end.
Thank you.
Okay, continue on. This is just a little farther south on County Road 31. Here again, we are meeting the visiting public where they are at and how they use this site. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but this site usually gets inundated with vehicle traffic, parking all over the place willy-nilly, and this really organizes all of that chaos into some good infrastructure here. Really, DNR is modifying its infrastructure to meet the public where they're at, is what this project is all about. So we're also here, we've got 99 parking spaces. And we're one caveat is that we will be closing and restoring the current existing swim beach farther south on County Road 31 from here. There has become some problems associated with that swim beach.
Yeah.
And we look to mitigate that with restoration.
So that crosswalk, I know sometimes I actually get a lot of emails about County Road 31. Is that going to be a flashing crosswalk or what's?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank
We'll
you.
have flashing beacons there, and
Okay. And do you think we have neighbors that will it won't be flashing in any of the houses or anything like that on the ridge?
Yeah, we've been very sensitive to the neighbors, and this is, I believe, a sun-up to sundown parking lot, if I remember correctly. So
Okay.
there should be very little nighttime use.
Thank you. Commissioner? Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but my brain, the way my brain's working today, I need to ask while I'm thinking about it because I won't remember later, so thank you.
right. And I'll hand it back to Zach to discuss our ongoing and continuing outreach effort.
Great. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the original master plan from 2017 incorporated a lot of general public feedback. But now that we are closer to finishing the design, we want to do some additional outreach, in particular to the neighbors just to the east of here, who's just to the east is a hogback that has a line of houses. You can probably picture it. And we heard from those neighbors initially and have done our best to incorporate some of that feedback. We want to make sure we check in with them again and make sure they have a chance to provide any additional feedback on minor design changes we might be able to accommodate. And so we'll be doing that this fall, both through an online mechanism as well as having an open house in person to showcase the design and reach out specifically to those folks. And then next year, we'll have some outreach tables, in the area so we can actually talk to visitors. We'll do so in a bilingual manner and try to get additional feedback that'll help us consider different programming needs once this thing is actually built. And then we're planning to build in 2025.
Thank you for the update and the excellent presentation. I really appreciate it. Super excited to hear about the progress and from the drawings, it looks like public safety in mind, and I really appreciate all the accessibility. It's really exciting to see. Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, colleagues. I think my questions have been answered, but I try to visualize where this is. And I think I know, and one of the reasons we're doing this is to address the problem where it's right before that dam, and there was a place that had become an unofficial beach area, and cars parked along the road. So that's one of the motivations behind doing this, and that's where, at least the upper or the sandy beach part of this is located. Is that right, colleagues?
That's right. So the existing swim beach is right in here. But in actual use, this entire shoreline is
That's right.
crawling with people and that need more space and safer access. And once this is built, we recognize that visitor patterns will change and it'll give us an opportunity to consider other ways to manage visitation along that east side and where boats are allowed or not and where the best swimming areas are.
Thank you, Zach. And my second question, and my last, I believe, is what are we doing? It's great that we're making it accessible and people who have mobility challenges even to get down to the beach. So I think that's wonderful. Regarding culturally appropriate, what have we taken into consideration? You know, different cultures perhaps recreate differently, and how have we taken that into consideration? And then I noticed in one of the slides, it said temporary bilingual signs. I'm wondering why it says temporary, and will we have bilingual wayfinding signs or that sort of thing? Thanks.
So, yeah, I heard several questions there, but I'll start with the
You
sign,
can answer, Zach.
the sign one.
I believe in you.
And the bilingual sign, so to answer your last question, yes, once everything is built, all of our kiosks and messaging will be bilingual. The temporary is when we're doing an outreach next summer. We recognize that's a temporary effort, and so that as such, those signs will be temporary. And then the first question was, I think that the very shift from a campground to a day use area really does get at that change in recreation preference that you mentioned.
And presumably the picnic tables can accommodate perhaps larger families and that sort of thing.
Right. Our current designs have, picnic shelters, a little bit larger areas than simple picnic tables. So, yeah.
Thank you for answering my question.
I guess one thing I will add is one of the reasons for the pop-up tables and the interviews for those who use the site next summer is to do exactly what you've described, is to understand how people are using it now and how they want to use it into the future. And so we should be able to understand the needs of our visitors there.
I guess, forgive me, but the parking spaces are on the other side of County Road 31, away from the water, and therefore, I'm sure we're building more than adequate pedestrian crossings and all of that.
Correct, and that safety is a major consideration. And one thing we didn't mention is that this stretch, by adding this parking area, will require an additional turn lane. And so there's some traffic management that's incorporated into this design as well. And yes, it's quite tight and steep on this west side, whereas this is a rather large flat area that John mentioned is getting a lot of use and parking anyway. And so that's the reason the site was chosen to accommodate that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great progress, excited to see this, and any other updates with this? Well done, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll have Rebecca Everett come up now for the Community Development Director and see if we have any updates from you.
Good afternoon, Rebecca Everett, Community Development Director. Thank you for having me. I do have several updates and items for you today. So first, you have a land use hearing this afternoon at 3 o'clock. All three of the items on the agenda are county-led items, and we're not expecting a high level of public turnout or public interest in those items, but we look forward to hearing from the commissioners on all of those. Next week's land use hearing, I know we don't usually have them back to back, one week after another, but the way the scheduling worked this month, we have another land use hearing next Monday, and that one's going to be a very full agenda. We have both the 3 o'clock hearing and the 6:30 hearing are scheduled, and we have 3 discussion items on both of those agendas. 5 of those 6 discussion items are short-term rental applications, and those are still part of the batch of applications that we received prior to the new regulations taking effect. So we're still working our way through that that backlog. So expect several discussion items next week. We are planning a dinner break at whatever point is appropriate in between the items, and we'll do our best to help you all manage the time to make sure we can get through all of those that evening, or move those to future hearings if that's necessary. Any questions on hearing items? Okay, thank you. Also wanted to highlight a couple things that are on your admin matters agenda tomorrow for community development. There is an extension to the farm stand resolution that's on the agenda, so that's an action that the commissioners took in previous years to allow for some exemption for farm stands to continue to operate as they're working through the building or development review process. So we are proposing an extension to that resolution. We also have the Soul Smart letter of support on your agenda. We discussed that at last week's work session. So we look forward to your action on that as well. And then we have several findings and resolutions from various land use matters over the last couple months. Then the last thing that I wanted to ask about, I know we have a joint work session this week between the county commissioners and the planning commission. Our December joint work session, we haven't solidified the agenda for that yet. We wanted to check and see if there might be interest in doing more of a social event holiday kind of celebration with the planning commission that day, or if you'd like us to explore any other topics or options.
I'll let you go first, Commissioner. I have a thought on that.
Question, what is the date? And also, I would be inclined to, I would favor having an opportunity for fun and fellowship.
I think we've done this in the past. We have done a little social with that group. Actually talked to a planning commissioner from Philadelphia last week, or zoning, they call them zoning directors or something, and then I talked with some other zoning officials, and it seems like I could not escape work. But it was interesting, and of course, short-term regulations in other jurisdictions came up, so it was very interesting. I think it'd be great, I know we've done it in the past, I think it's an opportunity for us just to have some nice conversation, and also just because we do work a lot together and we have a lot of things coming up, I think it'd be a great opportunity. But if you wouldn't mind letting us know what date that is.
Yes, it is
13th?
December 13th. So
Okay.
the second Wednesday in December.
Sounds great.
Well, we will look into options and see if there's something that might be available off-site that could accommodate our group size, and see what's available. And our backup plan will be to do something on-site here in the building.
Awesome, thank you. Great. Well, appreciate all that, and thanks for the heads up about the next hearing. Any other items? I know Leslie isn't here. I believe there's not an update from the CPIR's director then, so
No, and I checked with Leslie. She didn't have anything that she wanted passed on for today.
wonderful. Well, with that, with no other further items on the agenda at 1:53, I'll say that we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here today and for your work. Appreciate it. Have a good day.